Yeah, I thought I was gonna say something when he said one, huh? Welcome everyone to the first in-public meeting of the Community Advisory Committee. My name is Eddie Price and I'm the chair of the Community Advisory Committee. And we'd like to take the roll call now, Victoria.
Committee member Balasakis.
Here. Is that your name, dude?
Yeah. Lafani.
Here.
Committee member Schofield. Here. Committee member Harris. Committee member Johns.
Here.
Committee member Hamden.
Hammond
Hamden.
here.
Committee member Anderson. Committee member Emerson.
Present.
Secretary Webb.
Here.
Vice Chair Castañeda. And Chair Price.
Here. Thank you. Item number 3 is special presentations and introductions. So we'd like to take this time to give, they're not here. I don't know why we're taking this time, but we'd like to give this time for Tom Summers and Jen Dirks, who have been committee members since the beginning. We greatly appreciate their input at the start of all this interesting journey that we've been on, that we continue to be on, and we'd like to give appreciation to them. So even though they're not here, if we can get a round of applause for their contribution. I have another achievement here for Forefin Creative, who has, they're a Power 100 champion and they're dedicated to cleaner, greener future by choosing 100% renewable. So we'd like to give them a round of applause also. Thank you.
I see Sarah Hamden has her hand raised.
Okay. Because I can't see, I'm not looking at a Zoom or anything, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. Tara Hammond?
Thanks, Victoria and Chair Price. I just wanted to say that I'm participating in today's meeting remotely under recent amendments to the Brown Act due to childcare needs that require me to participate remotely today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments that are not on the agenda?
There are no written public comments.
Thank you. Are there any items that are to be withdrawn, reordered on the agenda? Is everybody cool with the agenda? Thank you. So we'd like to get approval of February's Community Advisory Committee meeting minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from February. I second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm hearing feedback, I think. Okay. It's been moved.
Committee member Balasakis.
Aye.
Committee members Lafani.
Aye.
Committee member Schofield. Aye. Committee member Harris. Absent. Committee member Johns.
Aye.
Committee member Hammond.
Aye.
Committee member Anderson. Absent. Committee member Emerson.
Yes.
Secretary Webb.
Aye.
Vice Chair Castañeda. Absent. And Chair Price.
Yes.
Motion moves.
Thank you. Now we are to receive an update on the community power plan.
Good afternoon, committee members. This is quite strange to be
Yes,
far
it
away
is.
from you all.
It's usually right here.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much for having me today. Just here to give you a brief update on where we stand with the community power plan. So if we go to the next slide, the big news is that we have the public draft now open for public comment. So as you can see, here's a screenshot of what we have posted on our website to solicit for public comment. And I'm excited to just kind of share the news about that and encourage all of you to please share it with your community members, with your organizations, and anyone that you touch in your community, so that we can get as much public feedback on this really important plan for us as possible. Next slide, please. So the public comment period started on March 2nd and is going to run until the end of this month. It closes at midnight at the end of March 31st. The plan, as you saw, is available in 3 different languages. So we actually translated the draft plan into English, Spanish, and Tagalog to make it as accessible as possible for our community to read and provide input. We are using this really cool interactive tool that the city of San Diego used and introduced us to, that I think makes it as equitable as possible to provide public comment without requiring a formal letter or lawyers or anything of that sort to submit. So if you scan the QR code or you go to our website, sdcommunitypower.org/CPP, you can take a look at the draft the public draft of the CPP. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the tool that we're using is super interesting. I love it because it's super interactive. It allows you to make all sorts of different comments on the plan. So you can make suggestions, you can ask questions, you can note typos, and it allows you to add those comments and those suggestions and notes anywhere in the document. So you don't specifically have to identify at the end of a chapter or anything. If you see a word that you think is misspelled or you don't like a specific concept within that sentence, you can identify it there. One of the reasons we really like this tool and decided to go for using this is that it kind of creates like a social media platform, if you will, for public comment. So people can like a comment that others have left there to show their support for whatever that comment says. You can also dislike it if you don't agree with it. You can reply to that comment as well and add additional thoughts or not. And it's just really great way for us to then reply to those comments as well. And again, you don't need to file any kind of formal letter or anything of that sort. Submit feedback. So this is just a screenshot of some of the comments that we have already received on the plan. You can go throughout the plan and see a little yellow dot throughout that. That is a public comment that was received. So anyone can see that. The other thing that I wanted to brief you on is that next Tuesday, we are hosting a virtual presentation. And so this presentation is going to be a summary of all of the work that has been done with this. So all of the different presentations that we have brought to you and to the board is going to be summarized as much as possible in an hour presentation to our public to get them excited about it and encourage public comment as well on it. So if anyone that may be watching, or if you want to join the presentation, feel free to register for our presentation by scanning the QR code or going to our website as well. This workshop is going to be on, again, the 14th at 5:30 p.m. and it's going to be in English with simultaneous interpretation into Spanish. And that is my update.
Thank you. Sure.
I assume we can ask questions?
Yeah.
So Lawrence Emerson here from National City. I think it's important that the cities that are part of the San Diego Community Power have staff maybe assigned or invited to participate to make comments. Also local community groups. I know early on when you were developing this, you had some groups that were involved with feedback, but now time has passed. Have you thought about getting some new local community groups involved specifically and inviting them? So city staff, that's my question. Have they been invited? Do we have names of people who from the cities who are going to be reviewing? And which local community groups are already are being invited. And I'm from National City. Is there any particular group from National City you've contacted to date? So if you could reply to those questions.
Yeah, if I can address the member city one first, we have a standing meeting with the member agencies, or staff from the member agencies that meets every month. And so we presented to them and let them know that this plan was made available and have been engaging them throughout this entire process as well. We actually have a meeting scheduled, I believe it's Monday or sometime next week, the standard meeting, and we're going to be presenting to them on the CPP as well, so that we can get their comment as well and inviting them to provide comment on the plan as well. We contacted them via email as well and notified all of them that this is now available. In terms of the community-based organizations that we have been contacting, we reached out back to every single organization that we engaged to develop community assessment. We reached back out and let them know that the plan was available, the draft plan was available, and we wanted their public feedback, as well as inviting them to this presentation and then making an offer to them and say, if you want us to come and present, we are more than willing to do that. So we've been doing a lot of outreach back out to the community to get them. The list of organizations is kind of long, but among them, the ones that we worked with for the listening sessions that we hosted for the community's assessment was MAC, MAC, Casa Familiar, the Chicano Federation, Project New Village, and I'm forgetting one, Ali. I'm forgetting one, but there's 5 organizations that we worked with to do listening sessions. And so we reached out to them, and we've also reached out to EHC to ask them to review this as well at the board side, and have been reaching out to you all as well as a member agency to get the word out to other organizations that we may have missed. I know that we're also going to be doing a presentation to the Sierra Club. I presented to the Encinitas Environmental Commission last night. We're going to be going to the La Mesa Environmental Commission at the end of the month, I think, or next week as well. So we're hitting the streets to get the word out.
Oh, good. And I appreciate you're giving specific examples of the community group. How about you? At the beginning, you said city staff were in National City. Who are you talking to? Do you have a name? That
Roberto Llano.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would also recommend maybe the National City Chamber of Commerce. I don't think they've had any presentation from San Diego Community Power. So if you want me to hook you up with somebody from there, let me know.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention on that my colleague, Lee Friedman, who's our strategic partnerships manager. He has done a lot of outreach to our chamber, our commercial customers as well to love this as well.
And if I may, and I believe I've asked this numerous times before, when you're reaching out to specific cities and their staff or whoever, can you involve the community advisory committee that's responsible for that city so that they're aware of the meeting and also that the people at that meeting are aware of the community advisory member to strengthen that relationship?
Yeah. I
Thank
think
you.
I saw a hand over.
Okay. Oh, hey.
I wanted to know if the presentation is going to be recorded and then actually posted on the website.
Yes, yeah. So we're going to be recording it as well as posting it on the website shortly after, and also posting the slides probably ahead of time so that the community can see what we're having. And the slides themselves will be both in English and in Spanish.
Yes.
Just a comment. I just wanted to thank you, Nelson. You know, you and your team have been working very hard to reach out to a number of communities across the county. And so I know a lot of community-based organizations really appreciate that effort and outreach, even if they're unable to participate in some of these presentations. Just the thought and the note that SDCP is out there and engaging with them has been really important. So I've heard that feedback and I've seen you do that work and I've really appreciated it.
Thank you.
Any questions from the public or comments?
There are no hands raised and there are no written public comments.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Believe now we're at item number 8, receive an update on San Diego Community Powers Community Clean Energy Innovation Grant Program. And for us to nominate representatives, participate on the evaluation committee.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
I just wanted to ask each of you when you come up, if you could say your name, because I can't cheat on Zoom and scroll over your chair. I appreciate it. I'm taking notes.
of course. Yes. Hi, everyone online and in person. My name is Allison Skurlock, and I'm a program associate in the programs department. Today, I wanted to provide you an update on our community grant program that we are launching very soon. And then at the end of the meeting, see if there are any CAC members that are interested in participating on our evaluation committee for this program. And just before I jump into these slides, I wanted to remind you all of some background. There was a policy that got adopted for this program back in December by the board, and then I provided an update at the January CAC meeting. We're really excited about this program. We're planning on running this program every fiscal year, if not more often. And the goal of this first round is really to get the program up and running and to establish the structure and process. We do anticipate that we could adjust the process moving forward based on what we learn each round. And since this is our first time running the program and giving out grants directly to community organizations, we are really excited to partner with the San Diego Foundation, who is a known entity in San Diego, has that experience and has established relationships with organizations and can hopefully get the word out about this program and get funding out. So I did want to mention that Everett Au is the lead from the foundation, and he is listening on the Zoom link right now and might be able to jump in for questions if needed. Okay, so program goals, just a reminder, we're calling this program the Community Clean Energy Innovation Grants, and the overall goal is to support projects that provide economic, environmental, and health benefits to SDCP's communities. And on the next slide, this is just general program for this first round. So an overview of the next couple of months. We have been working on the grant guidelines and finalizing the application process and are gearing up to invite applicants at the end of March, so in a couple weeks. The application period will be open through April, I think mid to late April, and then we are forming an evaluation committee to review those applications and make selections in May. And then we are hoping to get the funding out by June of this year. So that is just a quick overview the next couple of months. This slide talks about the program guidelines, and a lot of these details were included in the policy that was adopted by the board in December. And so the budget for this first round is $300,000. The grant amounts will go up to $45,000, which is no more than 15% of that budget for grants. The money would need to be spent within 12 months from the award date. So if they're awarded in June, by next June, but of course we could get projects that are shorter. And then I mentioned we are partnering with the San Diego Foundation to help just with some administration support. And then we are forming an evaluation committee that's going to include SDCP staff, San Diego Foundation staff, and hopefully 1 to 2 of you, if there's interest. So these are the 4 main eligibility requirements that we're looking for this first round. And I think I touched on a lot of these at my last update, but the first one is that the applications must be led by a nonprofit with 501c3 status. We can have collaborative applications, but the application must be led by a nonprofit with that status. The second one is that the application or the applicant must have proven experience serving community members. The third is the proposed project must be in our service area, so it must serve SDCP customers. And then the fourth is just that the project must fall into one of these 6 general focus areas, which came from our community needs assessment and also just presented on from our community power plan. And so 6 general areas, and they're pretty broad with the hopes that a lot of projects could apply. So energy consumption and costs, indoor and outdoor air quality, workforce development, energy resilience, increasing the access of clean energy technology benefits for our communities of concern, and then increasing overall energy literacy of our customers.
Can you actually put communities of concern in there
Yes,
instead of underserved communities?
yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't change it live, but yes.
I think you can do it, but okay.
No, like, I'm like, I don't have the link to the slide that we shared right this second. But, okay. A couple more slides. this is the evaluation criteria that we are thinking. It's subject to change, but these are generally the areas that we are thinking would be evaluated and the general weights of what would be evaluated. And these will be finalized in the next couple of weeks before applicants apply, so they know exactly what they'll be scored on. But you can see that funding priority alignment would be the highest point. So just how well the project aligns with one of those 6 kind of focus areas. And then next would be how feasible the project is in communities of concern. Those are the next highest points. And did just want to mention that for this, we are planning on prioritizing projects in communities of concern in line with our commitment in our draft community power plan that is out right now. And then the last 2 are innovation and scalability and replicability. Those would be some additional points. So this is what we're thinking right now. And then if applications were to have an equal score, we would strive to choose projects across the different focus areas, those 6 different focus areas. Okay, so we have a webpage going live on this by Monday that's going to outline that eligibility, those four main eligibility criteria. And it's going to have contact information for interested organizations to seek if they think they're eligible and want to apply for the grant. But we would love to hear from you. If you have any organizations that you know of, if you know people out there that would meet these eligibility, we're asking that you please send an email to myself and Everett from the foundation by the end of March 23rd, which is just under 2 weeks from now. So please, we would love to hear from you. Want to make sure we're doing targeted outreach to organizations that you all know of. And then this is my last slide. Today, we are seeing if there are 1 to 2 representatives that are interested and have availability to participate on our evaluation committee that we're forming. And just a note that some CAC members may have conflicts of interest, so that we ask that they would not participate. But Victoria sent out an email on Wednesday with more details about the time commitment. We think it would be about 10 hours. It depends on the number of applications that we received, but
10 hours a month, 10 hours a year.
sorry, 10 hours over the next 2 months.
Okay.
So there would be an initial training that would it would be virtual just for scheduling purposes with the foundation. So we could all get together and talk about how we're going, the scoring and be on the same page. And then it would be independent review of applications. And then we would all come back together in another virtual meeting and talk about our scores and make grant selections before the grants are awarded. I think that was my last slide, so I can answer any questions if there are any, and then I can turn it over to Chair Price
Well,
to.
maybe Everett, I would like to hear from Everett.
Sure.
Yeah, Everett, can you?
Everett, are you here?
I am. Hey, folks.
Did you want to hear about anything specifically from?
No,
Everett?
just, what from his perspective from the foundation, is this a novel approach to community-based organizations, or is this does this happen often, or is this brand new in the foundation grant giving world?
This is fairly brand new. I don't often see, also for anyone, quick intro who I'm not familiar with. I manage our climate initiatives here at San Diego Foundation, and I've had the pleasure of knowing some of the folks on the committee, and have excitedly been digging into this with Colin and Allie. And so, Eddie, to your, Chair Price, to your question, this is new. There aren't too many opportunities where we get collaborations between like a public agency and a foundation who are working to streamline dollars getting out into community effectively and through an inclusive, equitable, just process. Not to say that there aren't examples of this, but here in San Diego, at least, it's in the more novel realm. And for our end, we're thrilled, honestly, to be able to work with folks to figure out how we can work together to make sure that we're making a just transition to a more sustainable, resilient community that engages all of our partners, right? And so it's not just local government working on their own, or public agencies, municipalities, utilities doing their things in silos, but there is a space for us to work together to do this in sync. And I'm excited because this grant opportunity presents an opportunity to do so.
Thank you. And one of the reasons I requested Everett to speak is so that we on the council could get an idea of the significance of this process that we're going through. And, you know, it's kind of a big deal in the San Diego Foundation kind of world also. So we're creating something here. So is there anybody on the committee that would like to sit on that committee, on the subcommittee? Okay, well, I need all three of you to step into the middle of the room. I was gonna give you some gloves and, you know, best man standing. Are 3 people too many?
I think we are looking for 2 max, just to keep the committee probably under 10.
I think this is gonna be our first kind of interesting vote. We normally all get along well together, but now you want to start some shit. Okay, so I don't know how to handle it.
Chair, if I may suggest,
Sure, please.
have each member vote for 2 of the 3 people.
Okay,
And
but that cannot be done on. Everybody will know how everybody voted, right?
well, you would have to take a roll call vote anyway.
Okay. All right. So I should have brought them gloves anyhow, right?
Yeah, sure.
It seems like. So. Would the people that want to be on this committee like to say something?
Yeah, I'm down. Okay, I'll start. Well, I'm interested because I've worked in this space quite a bit. I've actually worked with Everett. And I'm very familiar with the local nonprofit ecosystem, organizations that are doing good work, organizations that could be doing good work, but just need extra additional resources to get this across the finish line. Also just very intimately aware of some of the intricacies around clean energy and racial and economic and social justice are needing to be brought to the forefront. And I just think this is a really great, unique opportunity for us to, as a committee, engage on this with the foundation in particular, and see if we can build on that in the future. To see where these initial seed investments can go and create some legs. So that's why I'm interested. I just think it's a really neat project. And I have expertise.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Larry?
Hi, this is Lawrence, Emerson National City, and I don't know if it's a conflict if I'm from National City and that's where some of the grants will maybe going if your community is of concern. But yeah, all of these, I was wondering if they had examples of where this has been done in the past, what kind of projects. You list some of the goals, but do you have any examples? I'm just interested in. And I'm in energy and projects and getting the word out to people. That's exciting. So this is a great opportunity to do that for whatever organization that submits. But you have some examples where
I
you,
don't have any specific examples, but I'm sure Everett, if you're still on, has quite a few that you could share.
Yeah, it's an interesting growing field, and so some areas that we've been working and digging into are building electrification, converting to sustainable energy. So if that's grid storage and solar panel installation, excitingly green workforce more and more as we're talking about a just transition for our economy and our existing workforce. All the way down to as simple as stovetop burner loaner programs. And so there's a lot of different ways for thinking about individual all the way up to larger community, where it spans the gambit, as you might imagine, across the different clean energy issue areas, where it's not just stopping at exposing folks to what electric vehicles are, but then also having conversations about what it actually means to have something like that kind of program, making it meaningful, having resources available, and building it all out. So it's not just projects, but excitingly how we're talking to folks about it, how they're finding themselves in the space as well. And yeah, so it's a big umbrella that I just highlighted, but I'm happy to dig into anything in particular because there are great partners in the region and great leaders, I think, even statewide and nationally, who they are pushing for a lot of these efforts. And this is a unique opportunity to really put some oomph behind some of the projects that they've been working on.
those are good examples. Thank you.
I I was in a conversation with some, I'll say renewable energy activists that I discuss things with frequently. And I was asked the question, well, why haven't we adopted the 100%, the Power 100 option? Why is that so, in other words, Encinitas did it by default. And in fact, 97% of the people in Encinitas are 100% renewable. But the others, all the other cities are just a very low percentage of Power 100. And I said, the reason is most of the people really don't know what their options are. And it just seems like instead of the modes that we've been using to explain and get the word out, it needs to be amplified, and needs to be more ways, more directions to kind of get the word out. So that's basically my focus and why I'd like to be on this. I think this idea of having grants that are actually informing the public of truly what their options are is a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I do want to mention, before we go into any voting, there's a hand raised from the public, so they might have a question on the program.
Please. Let's go to the public, ma'am.
Okay, I asked them to unmute.
Thank you for your patience. Hi, everyone, and greetings to Chair Price and all the other committee members. I think I have my clarification after hearing the evaluation, but just to make sure, is this grant program something that is set up whereas different nonprofit organizations would present a proposal and then it would go through this evaluation committee process to determine whether it will be approved or not? And if that's the case, also is the total amount for this particular program launch that is very novel to our region, is it the total cap $300,000, or is it up to that amount for each program? Or is it only a bucket of $300,000 and each nonprofit proposal would put their budgeting in there, but it couldn't exceed a certain amount? So I'm kind of have questions around that. Thank you.
Yeah, to answer your first question, we are making the funding available and it is for nonprofits who are eligible to apply to us. Yes, do a proposal and outline like what they have in mind, their staffing, their budget. And then each individual grant would be up to $45,000. That is the max amount per one that would be awarded if they are awarded. And so the total program budget is $300,000 just for this fiscal year. But we are planning on doing this every year, if not more often. So there will be more opportunities.
Thank you. Any other comments?
There are no written comments and there are no other hands raised.
Thank you. Any more comments from the committee? Kind of quiet over here. You guys don't have nothing to say over here? Okay, well, let's take it to a vote.
Before you vote, what is the motion and what are you voting on?
You always ask me these hard questions.
That way,
Really
you
quick.
can put it in.
We're voting on the representatives to be on the community grant program evaluation committee. Voting on 2 out of 3 who express their interest to be on this.
And which people are we selecting, or each people? Each
Yep,
person?
Yep.
The question is, how are we gonna vote on this? Is it like
That's
by each
always been
individual
my
and we just see who has the most votes, or is it by 2? I'm agnostic. I don't know who's rules here.
Well, just so you know, everybody's having the same thought process as you are. How is this gonna work?
Well, maybe I'll change my suggestion to a motion
Okay,
that each committee member vote for 2 of the 3 candidates. And whoever is tallying, for instance, if there's a vote for Larry and me, I get 1 tally and he gets 1 tally. And then we'll see amongst the three what the two hard.
Okay, so the process is now we're to who's gonna do the tallying, right? Okay, our secretary, we have a built-in tallier,
So,
and you will call the names of, like, you're gonna say Matt Vasa, and his name is Vasilakis. You're gonna call Matt Vas, and we're gonna raise our hand or not raise our hand?
I think that you have to vote yes, no, abstain, or absent. I think those are the options. And so the committee here needs to pick what is the motion.
Okay, so we'll just have to move each individual versus the tally, the two vote. Because if we're limited to just yes, no, and abstain, okay.
We got somebody in the peanut gallery. Yes, sir.
You can do the votes. And then after that, the motion will be to nominate the two that have the highest. And then that becomes the yay, nay, or absent. And so you're just, the motion itself is not to do the actual tallying. You do the tallying just as your own, as an own exercise. And then the motion is to approve, there we go, so of the highest vote.
How do we start?
I think you can start just by doing a roll call and doing the votes that way.
A roll call of the nominees.
Yeah.
A roll call of the nominee, a roll call of the committee for one particular nominee.
Or two?
So we theoretically would do
One.
3 roll calls.
You could do it that way, or you could have each committee member just say their top two, which is probably the faster way to do it.
Great.
Okay, committee member.
Just point of,
Now we're back to the boxing gloves.
point of order, what he just said was my motion. If we want to, I'm sorry, just. keep
No,
going.
it was a great idea. It was a great idea.
Okay, so what should I do right now?
Just wait until your name is called, and then when your name is called, you'll say the two.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So committee member Vasilakis.
Vasilakis.
I will, myself, Matthew Vasilakis, and Gary Johnson.
Committee member Sclafani.
Mr. Vasilakis and Mr. Emerson.
Committee member Schofield.
Mr. Vasilakis and Mr. Emerson.
Committee member Harris is absent. Committee member Johns.
Matthew and myself.
Committee member Hammond.
Matthew and Gary, but thank you, Larry, for also offering. Thank you all three for offering.
Committee member Anderson is absent. Committee member Emerson.
Myself and Matthew.
Secretary Webb.
I love everybody.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Is that something that you want to know?
Thank you. I'll vote for Matthew and Gary Johns.
Vice Chair Castañeda is absent, and Chair Price.
Can I abstain?
Yeah, you can. Cool.
Yeah. Matthew and one of them. Gary Johns.
Does somebody on the committee want to make a motion?
And can we hear what the tally is? Oh, okay.
That's the motion.
Actually, I move that we appoint the two higher tallies to be the members of this committee.
So, appoint Matthew Vasilakis.
Vasilakis.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't mind, but it kills me when somebody tears up his name.
I can give the numbers if you'd like to hear the exact numbers.
I don't think we need the numbers because it was like a friendly tally. But if that's the motion, does someone second it?
She did.
She said, And just for the record, we can't take these things home, right? I just wanted clarity on it.
So now, we're going to vote on those two committee members to be nominated for the evaluation committee. So committee member Vasilakis.
Oh, I vote, yeah, yes.
Committee member Stefani,
Before I vote, I am curious, did we confirm those are the two highest?
Well,
talents?
I think Matt is for
It's
sure. I'm not,
Matthew and Gary Johns had 2 more than Larry Emerson. He had 5 and Matthew had 8.
Okay, and the motion is for.
Matt and Gary.
Okay, then I would vote to approve that motion.
committee member Schofield,
Aye.
Committee member Harris is absent. Committee member Johns,
Aye.
committee member Hammond,
Aye.
committee member Anderson is absent. Committee member Emerson,
I'll abstain.
I approve.
which one? Would you like to vote abstain, approve?
No, I approve, yeah. I was joking.
Secretary Webb,
Aye.
Vice Chair Castaneda is absent. And Chair Price,
Yes. Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. And
Congratulations.
thank you to all the,
Thank you for the
Yeah.
support.
yeah, thank you to everyone. That was rather rough. We've never done that before. So
That was
Yeah, thank you.
unusual.
Yeah, that was rough. I didn't know that was gonna be rough. Now we will receive, agenda item number 9, receive an update on public relations and back office operations, which ought to be interesting.
Good afternoon, Chair Price and the members of our Community Advisory Committee, as well as the members of the public who are joining us online and in the audience as well.
Excuse me, yeah.
Can you please state your name? I'm taking notes.
Oh, yes, I was just about to introduce myself after
Sorry.
saying thank you to everybody, but I appreciate the commitment to being precise. I'm Jen LeBron. I'm the Director of Public Affairs here at San Diego Community Power. And with me today is Luis Uto, our Director of Data Analytics and Account Services. Today, we'll be providing you with a monthly update on public relations as well as back office operations. Victoria, next slide, please. So we'd like to start off this month by providing a couple of brief staffing updates for our public affairs team. We've got a new senior marketing and communication manager who will be starting with us on March 22nd. And we've begun screening interviews for our community engagement manager position that is open currently. As well, I wanted to let everyone know that we will be having additional marketing, communications, and community engagement positions that will be opening up within the next 2 months. We are doing this to continue growing our team. That way we can have more effective outreach, extend our reach, and really provide better customer service to the nearly 1 million customers that we will have beginning on April 1st. Next slide, please. I also wanted to provide an update on some of the activities that we've been doing from a media, both earned and paid media perspective. We've had several live opportunities on news stations, and we'll be doing significantly more of those as we lead up to the enrollment on April 1st. We've had several stories in local community newspapers such as the Ramona Sentinel and the Fallbrook newspaper to let folks know in our unincorporated areas that we are coming into town. Additionally, we will be having advertisements as well as op-eds from some of our Community Advisory Commission members in National City, as well as the unincorporated areas. And you should be looking out for stories coming in major publications like the Union Tribune and Voice of San Diego as well. Next slide, please. Our paid media campaign is in full swing. In fact, our very first billboard is up in National City right now. And we will be having additional ones popping up throughout the region over the course of the next couple of weeks that will be running through June. You can see one example of the billboard up to the left there. We also have a door hanger campaign that we will be doing for some of our harder to reach customers as well. Next slide. Our outreach is also on social media in a variety of different languages, including Filipino. Next slide, please. Arabic and Spanish. So for those who are online, either on social media channels or seeing online banners, if you are using these online tools in a specific language, you will also see those advertisements in the language that you speak. As an additional note, we are doing some translation services as well on our website to make all of our pieces of information significantly more accessible. Over the last several months, we've added a Google Translate button up at the top, which features over 80 languages, but now we're working on actual translations for some of our iframes. That way, folks who are trying to opt up or opt down can more easily understand what they are working on as they are going onto our website. And so with that, I want to turn it over to Lucas to talk about our participation rates.
Before we go to the next, I see one of our committee members has their hand raised.
Okay. Will we, typically we save comments until the conclusion of the presentation, but happy to, if our committee member has a question, we can do that now as well.
Who has the question?
Tara's online.
Tara?
Hi, thanks, Jen. If you'd like, I can wait till the end.
It may be better just so we can have our presentation conclude. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Good afternoon, Jim Price and members of the CAC. I will be previewing the participation rates. So all the work that Jen and our public affairs team is doing, as well as the work that you all are doing and every other stakeholder in the region. What does this mean in terms of our participation rates? I'm actually happy to let you all know that the participation rates are still stellar. As you can see, our total participation rates by accounts is almost 97%. And that is no small feat. It's, again, part of the collaboration that we all have in making sure that all of our customers have the right information and they can make better informed decisions, as well as the language equity piece that Jen talked about in terms of meeting customers where they are in language preferences that they prefer, just so that they can understand who San Diego Community Power is. In terms of our phase 4 participation rates, those again look really, really good. We're at 98.8% for the County of San Diego, 99.8% for National City, which is great. Now, moving on to the next slide, please. So this here essentially, sorry, can you go back 2 slides back? One more. Sorry, one more. Forward. There. So what this essentially captures is the trend of what we see in terms of customer opt-outs as it relates to when they actually got the pre-enrollment notifications. There's a line over there that essentially captures the mailer 1. This would have signaled the pre-enrollment notice 1 that we sent to all customers in National City and in unincorporated County of San Diego the first week of February. Generally speaking, the data shows every single customer interaction, either with our mailers and some sort of communication, official communication that comes from us, we would typically tend to see an increase in opt-out activities. So the mailer 1 dropped. We had about 106 opt-outs for the county or in the County of San Diego, and the opt-outs seem to have peaked for the most part when our enrollment notice 2 dropped the first week of March. So you can clearly see that the opt-outs increase, from around 100 to about 504. And that is typical in terms of mass enrollment mechanics. Usually you would see this correlation. We did see this very same correlation in phase 3 last year. And so all things considered, what you're seeing in front of you, this is consistent with what we would have expected. But again, I mean, I think what the data is showing us is we definitely need to do more in terms of letting customers know of the value prop and the benefits of being on our service. we are seeing quite a few elements of misinformation on social media that, again, through the good work that Jen and her team are doing, we're essentially trying to get in front of. All our customers have the right information to make better and well-informed decisions. On to the next slide, please. So then what does this look like for a national city? It's the same trajectory, as you can see, wherein, the pre-enrollment notice 1 dropped, opt-outs obviously started, at 4, and then the correlation between the pre-enrollment notice number 2 dropping in early March and seeing that increase in opt-outs. But again, all things considered, 45 opt-outs in National City, that is great. Thanks to Larry and the folks in National City who are doing the good work, informing customers of who we are as an organization, our values, and the benefits that they can expect to receive by being on our service. So on to the next slide. This is essentially a snapshot of what everything looks like for the 2 new member agencies. I apologize that it's a little small, but the opt-out method, so the top pie chart that you see essentially captures what methods are customers utilizing to opt out. The bulk of it is through our website. You can clearly see that the web is the lion's share of the pie chart, and then followed by CSR. That just means customers calling into our contact center and talking to an agent and then processing an opt-out. And last but not least is the IVR, which is our interactive voice response, meaning customers call the contact center and they go through the automatic prompts to process their opt-out. In terms of why customers are opting out, it's the bottom list, if you will, of opt-out reasons by phase. So a whole lot of our customers, again, and this is similar to what we've seen historically, are opting out because they dislike being automatically. So for the county of San Diego, and this reporting is of earlier this week, as of Monday, 568 customers have opted out, citing that they do not like being automatically enrolled, followed by decline to provide the reason of why they're opting out. And again, for this specific reason, there are subcategories of why they've declined, and then followed by rate or cost concerns. Again, I think we definitely need to perhaps capture the essence of the fact that customers are getting a superior product by being on our service, and that superior product is 3% less expensive than SCG-based to essentially align that rate, or rather to address the rate of cost concern. So then what does this look like for National City? On to the next slide, please. So clearly, again, you see the exact same thing playing out in National City, even though the number of opt-outs is a little lower at 45, but again, the overwhelming reason why customers are opting out is disliking automatically being enrolled into our service at 20, and then decline to provide, and then the rate of cost concern as also a top. Similar trajectory in terms of what the data is telling us, which is customers are primarily opting out via the web, followed by contacting our contact center, and then the interactive voice response. And that actually concludes my overview of the back office operations. Happy to take any questions, comments, or feedback.
Can I ask what can you expound upon existing relationship with the utility? What does that mean?
That is a very good question. So that specific opt-out reason, it entails a number of things, primarily being a utility employee. So we do see a few opt-outs as it relates to customers having a relationship with the utility, so a relationship with SDG&E. It could also mean that the customer is on a program with the IOU, so with the utility, that they wouldn't otherwise receive on our side. There is one specific rate for a specific customer in our jurisdiction, and that rate was specific to just that one customer. And so in analyzing that specific opt-out reason, that also could be part of the subcategory.
Interesting. Are there any questions from the committee? Sir?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Tara,
let Tara go first.
Oh, Tara, go ahead. Tara.
Thank you. I did, thank you both for the presentation and information. I did have one question about Jen's first slide with the community engagement manager. I am happy to be sharing these job descriptions with people I know. And last meeting, we discussed that Victoria would stay our main liaison, but the job description says that they would serve as the main liaison and administer the monthly meeting. So I just wanted to get clarification if things have changed since our last meeting, when we all expressed gratitude and wanting Victoria to continue working with us, or what had happened with the change since last meeting.
That's a great question. And ultimately, the answer to that is that this individual is going to be in charge of our entire community, or they will be sort of our lead on community engagement, and they are welcome to choose designees to handle any and all parts of community engagement, which includes providing Victoria with the opportunity to continue serving the CAC.
Okay, and then thank you. We had, well, that's a little different than last time, not quite what I was hoping for, but I understand if that needed to change. We had also requested for us to be involved with interviews for this position as community representatives. What is the status on that?
Like I said, we have done the first round of screenings, and so we will be reaching out to members of the CAC to potentially participate in the final round.
Okay, so when you say potentially participate, that's if people are available, they will be able to participate?
I'm working on the way to have meaningful participation from members of our CAC that will allow folks to have a couple of folks from the CAC interview. It won't be a panel style interview for our community engagement manager.
Okay, great. It would be very nice to include us. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say it a little bit stronger than Tara said, that we definitely need to be involved in anything that has the word community in it, right? And we're the community advisory committee. We definitely need to be involved. And this is not to slight anybody, but not, see if it can happen or hope it happens, but just make it happen, right? Make sure that one or two of us are on that committee. And as it stands with Victoria, we appreciate the continuity that Victoria brings to our committee because she used to be on the committee. She's grown with the committee, and she's a, pretty awesome individual that has a lot of upside and growth potential. So I would definitely like to make sure that she is our representative to staff, and the representative from staff to us, as she continues to grow and, put on, do all this kind of stuff. We'd like to see her appreciated, right? Yeah, I'd really like to see her appreciated. And see us appreciated a little bit more, a little respect a little bit more in anything that has the word community in it. And this is going to be a community engagement manager, and we're representatives of the community. We ought to have a choice in who we work with, I believe. So I'll let that go like that. I didn't know I needed to bring my boxing gloves, but is there anybody from the public that would like to say something?
There are no pre-written public comments, and I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay. But I think we would, Larry has some, but somebody from this committee, either myself or Aida or somebody needs to be pretty intimately involved in the goings on that have anything to do with the community advisory committee, in my humble opinion. Larry?
Thank you for that feedback, Chair Price.
Thank you. Larry?
Yeah, I have some questions. This is Larry Emerson, National City. Yeah, I did have one of my neighbors, at least one, come by and say, I'm confused by this letter she got. What does it mean? And so I walked her through and explained to her, and she has a connection with San Diego Gas Electric as she owns stock. So I said, well, most of their, profits, my understanding is it comes from their infrastructure. So shifting this to the energy shouldn't affect that relationship. But anyway, I think she understood a little bit better after I just walked her through. You know, something new, the first time someone sees it, they go, what is this about? So all I did was walk her through it, and I think she's staying with Power 50. But that's the final decision was her, but I think she understood a little bit better. Question, yeah, where did you put this billboard in National City?
I would have to look at the exact address here, but I believe it's off of Highland. I can find that for you.
Yeah, if you could, I think if any of those kind of bulletins or boards go up in our community, it'd be nice if somehow a map was sent to us and said, hey, this is it, so you can point to it when, you know, your community members that this is showing up in our own community. So yeah, if you can send me like a little Google map, shows me where the location is later.
Happy to do so. And it is, to confirm, it is on Highland Avenue, near 24th Street.
Near 24th Street.
That's by Sweetwater High.
But it's a little bit north of there,
A
yeah.
little bit north.
I'll look for that then.
Yes.
That's very good. I'll take a look. And then let's see other questions. So this community engagement officer is still in the process too, still there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then I think my other questions. Here we go. So that 98% for National City is just based on people opting out.
Correct.
I mean, there's only a few, so to date, there may be, in the next couple of months, there still may be people opting out, but what's the deadline for people to opt out?
So there is no deadline for people to opt out. The essence of San Diego Community Power is to offer customers choice, right? In terms of who their electric generation provider is.
And at least 2 letters.
Right, so the process is before we can enroll customers in, we definitely have to notify them. That is a statutory requirement. They have to get 2 pre-enrollment notices within 60 days prior to their account transitions over. And then they also have to get 2 post-enrollment notifications 60 days after their accounts transition over to us. But that opt-out window is essentially open at all times. Customers can opt out at any time and go back to SDG&E service. There are a few nuances after that 60-day after the account transitions over. If a customer opts out after that period, they can go back to SDG&E service. They will be required to stay on SDG&E service for a period, for a minimum period of 12 months. And they would actually have to select an option of how they want to go back to SDG&E, whether that would be immediate. And if they do so, there are some other considerations in terms of, you know, being put on a transitional bundled service rate, and or they can elect to do a 6-month return. So they essentially informing SDG&E that they'll be going back to bundled service, and that the date of going back would be 6 months from that notification.
Very good. So yeah, I happen to have solar in my house, so I didn't get the notification. So that's why I was like, when did they get the notification?
Oh, okay, got it.
So I only knew because my neighbor brought it up, and he gave me her copy. So very good. And my other question is, how are you dealing with the social media negative comments, and who's dealing with that?
So before I answer that question, may I also just articulate the enrollment specific to net energy metered customers such as yourself? For those customers who have generation, whether that's solar and or other renewable and or non-renewable source, your enrollment into San Diego Community Power would actually coincide with the date of your true-up. And so for you, if
mine is in December. So
exactly, and so we would, you know, you would roll over to our service in December of 2023. And 60 days prior to your account recycle, we would send you the pre-enrollment notice 1 and pre-enrollment notice 2, and so on and so on.
Got it. Thank you.
And then
So the social media question.
exactly, yeah, to your.
I'm very interested.
I'm actually gonna.
Very interested how that's being dealt with.
Yes, so there's a couple of ways that we deal with negative social media comments, and it's very highly dependent upon several factors, including platform. So for example, Nextdoor makes it really, really hard for us to combat that, because if we have somebody tell us, hey, on my Nextdoor site, we're seeing these really negative comments, like San Diego Community Power cannot go in there because all of those next door sites are geo-locked. So even though I want to provide truthful information, I myself cannot go in there and do that. So what we've been doing for folks who have brought that up, we have been providing them with some resources, including a link, for example, to the Voice of San Diego story that talks about how we provide a discount and provides a pretty good overview, frankly, of what our service is and isn't. And so we're asking folks to combat that misinformation with trusted third-party sources, such as news articles, to make sure that these folks aren't just hearing rumors, or, people aren't just assuming that the other person on that other side of the screen are coming with their own opinion, rather a verified news source that says what we're all about. So when it comes to Nextdoor, that's how we're handling that. As far as on other social media accounts, as these negative comments pop up, it's really very highly dependent on what the comment is about whether or not we will be directly responding. If sometimes with negative social media, it really is just an attack that is not asking any kind of question, not looking to have any real dialogue. In those cases, we don't feed the trolls, if you will, and we will generally ignore those. However, if someone does have something that is factually incorrect, we can point them to factual information. And that is always our philosophy in terms of dealing with negative social media, is really making sure that folks have the correct facts going forward, and to not engage in a battle to the bottom, if you will, with folks arguing back and forth. You're never going to see San Diego Community Power getting into an argument with anyone online. We may respond once with factual information and leave it at that.
Oh, I sent a email to Lee earlier this week, and just to share that I was seeing this in my Nextdoor, and it's better to send it to you. Tell me how that
Sure.
I should respond.
Please, yes.
Best way.
Feel free to send things my way if it comes up. As we bring on our new senior marketing and communications manager as well, she's going to be heavily involved with this too.
And so you said you might send that link to the what was that?
Voice of San Diego.
Voice of
story,
San
yes.
Diego, and I would just put that link in the.
Yes,
That's a
and
good way to do it. Okay.
it's a great way to do it, just because, again, it makes it less about you and it makes it all about the facts that are on the table. Yes.
We had quite a bit of negative social media in Imperial Beach. And it didn't just stop and start at the rollout last year. It's continued on through the elections last year. The main thing saying it's that it's our fault that the prices went so high, which, as we know, is not correct. But they are also seeing that that fee that didn't used to have to appear on the SDGE bill. So they think that that's an extra fee. And getting ahead of that with the facts was really important. That was mostly back, I believe Rita was still here during those initial rollout times, I think. And I was able to go on as well, and I would always put the link to the SDCP website to certain pages. That's a good idea about the article. Thank you, because we still get it. We still get,
I don't anticipate it ever stopping, to be frank. There are always going to be people who are new to our region, who are new to what San Diego Community Power is all about. And there are always going to be people who are a little bit confused about how their bill works. And the way that I look at it, it's an educational opportunity for everybody. And so we've got some great resources on our website, certainly. But I have found that it can be very effective to have sort of that third party sometimes, when, of course, the question is appropriate, right? But if it's somebody who needs to understand their bill, we have a wonderful bill explainer video on our website that if you see these things out and about, we would encourage anybody to be able to link to that. And if it feels like it's something that our organization needs to respond to, we always appreciate you reaching out to any of us, frankly. But feel free to reach out to me directly in order to help combat some of that misinformation.
But just Lee explained to me that since all of that happened last year, that the CPUC required San Diego Gas Electric to list that PCIA item on their bills. If I understood that right, so that when people see it new, they don't think it's an added cost. Did I understand that rightly, or
Maybe Lucas.
that now that is on the regular San Diego Gas and Electric bill before our transition, the PCIA exit fee shows up?
Correct. So
Right, okay.
that is true. However, the way that that specific call out is on an SDG&E bundle customer bill is different from a CCA customer bill. For a CCA customer bill, it's itemized as a line item, as a standalone line item. And I think that's where it confuses a lot of customers,
Okay.
because when they're bundle customers, they don't see it itemized as a standalone line item. But when they're bundled, the call out is somewhere on a bill that isn't a line item. So it's just, hey, be aware that you're also paying PCIA as a
Just
bundle
a
customer.
verbal, not a.
Correct, because the PCIA for a bundle customer is embedded in the
Bundle.
generation rates that customers pay. I think that is the biggest
Thank you for
difference.
clarifying.
Exactly, and one of the things that definitely needs to be better clarified, so that customers don't assume that they're paying something extra.
Is it the same rate in the bundle as outside of the bundle?
No, it's actually different rate. When a customer is bundled, the PCIA that they pay correlates to the most recent vintage year. Whereas for a customer in CCA service, the PCIA that they pay correlates to the time frame of when their account was massing.
Which one is higher?
So for right now, in 2023 rate setting cycle, the PCIA for our customers that were part of phase 1 and 2 is actually a credit. Customers should see credit because it's a negative price. Whereas for bundle customers with a vintage of 2023, it's a charge. So you can see how that can be a little different.
And going forward, what will 2024 look like, or do you know?
If I had the magic crystal ball, I could tell you, Chair Price. Unfortunately, I don't. All eyes are on right now, there are quite a few proceedings that will give us a high-level overview of what the rate landscape might look like in 2024. But it's a little premature at this point to truly gauge where the PCI is going to land. And again, the one thing that I definitely would like to articulate is the fact that the PCI is not a charge that the CCA can control, right? It's an SDG&E charge assessment, but obviously we're keeping a very close eye to ensure that it's equitable for all customers in our.
How about this? Will the in 2024, is there a possibility that the unbundled PCI charge will be higher than the hidden bundled PCI charge?
I mean, I think everything is possible in the rates landscape. And a lot of what drives PCIA, I mean, it's the above market cost. And so depending on what the overall electricity market does between now and the end of the year, then that would inform what the PCI trajectory would look like in 2024.
But and I'll shut up after this, I hope. The unbundled cost is more transparent than the bundled cost in the future.
Correct. So that is true today, and it's going to be true tomorrow.
Right.
In the sense that for unbundled customers, they can clearly see that line item, right, as a standalone line item. Whereas for bundle customers, they can't readily see it because it's embedded as part of the generation rate that they pay. So it makes it a little difficult for them to decipher what actually that dollar per kilowatt hour assessment is. And again, the one other thing that, since we're speaking about the bill presentment for PCIA, that I definitely would like to share is the fact that even for unbundled customers, so CCA customers, the PCI line item right now is just a standalone line item that says the dollar charges XYZ, $6, let's say. But it doesn't give the customer visibility into what that dollar per kilowatt hour rate is. And that's something that we have worked collaboratively with SDG&E to address, because a lot of customers want to see how that charge emanates from. And we actually just got a response from SDG&E yesterday saying that that articulation of the dollar per kilowatt rate for the PCI line item will be on unbundled customer bills starting in Q3 of this year, which I think will give customers a little bit more visibility into how that PCIA dollar charge, that line item, how that comes about.
You said for unbundled customers.
Correct.
Okay.
I got my bill, they deliver it, my email electronically every month. And I got my bill 2 days ago and I'm looking because here it's electric delivery and electric generation / CCA. And then gas charges and then taxes and fees. And the CCA charge is clearly higher than any of the other charges. So that is where the negativity is coming from. They're like, that's costing us more, when in fact, we know that's a similar delivery fee that just was never called out, before in the bill. A lot of people who pay electronically like I do, I don't even look at my bill. I don't get a paper bill, right? So I take the amount, I go into my Mission Fed, I do pay bills, and I just pay it through that. So I think that's where that's coming from, because it looks, wow, that's the biggest charge I have. That's higher than my gas charge right here. So I think that's where the contentious.
I'm sorry, you said the delivery charge or the generation charge?
It says electric generation CCA.
Okay, that's the largest.
And it should, because that's the cost of energy. Right?
So
Yeah.
But now it's visible now.
being scrutinized.
And then it actually says CCA, so that there's a demon that you could,
And here's,
chastise.
if you have questions about the CCA charge, contact your CCA.
It actually says
Great.
contact Lucas.
Oh.
Right there. I didn't get your email, dude.
But I just wanted to let you know that, because I don't know PCIA, I don't get a paper bill.
Yeah, I think, that's a good observation. The one thing that I would say is we do have a world-class contact center available. Please, I highly urge members of the public to call us whenever they have any questions around what they're seeing on their bills, and or any question for that matter with regards to who San Diego Community Power is, what benefits they can expect. We also do have an interactive bill comparison online where customers can go in and essentially take a look at their bill, input a few data inputs, and essentially simulate what the bill comparison looks like. And then also we are currently working on the joint rate comparison with SCG&E, essentially capturing the comparison between our board-approved February 1st rates versus SCG&E January 1st rates. Our goal is to have that posted perhaps no later than end of next week, if we can get through our review process quickly, so that customers can have that information readily available as well to compare. And that joint rate comparison will encompass the bulk of all of our residential rates, as well as small commercial, agricultural, and large commercial and industrial rates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the committee? Any questions from the public, ma'am?
No pre-written and no hands raised. Oh, wait. There's a hand raised from the general public.
Hi, thank you. My name is Sonia, and just greetings and respect to our chair as well as all the committee members. I just want to reiterate that actually just this week I did get a text from someone that texted me their San Diego Community Power invitation to, or notification that they were going to be opt-in, and asked me questions about it. And they also indicated, well, that was one customer or one person I know in the community. Then someone else has texted me complaining, saying that it was the San Diego Community Power, what I advocated for as a community advocate for it, reason why the rates are going up. So I just want to share that I'm glad that you guys are aware of that and are addressing that. And kind of to dovetail to another question, considering how high our electricity rates currently are region-wide, I'm curious of San Diego Community Power position on the GRC. You know, there's those public hearings that are currently taking place. There's that in-person hearing with the Public Utilities Commission on the 23rd of March. Does San Diego Community Power, have they weighed in on this proceeding? Is there any incentive to advocate for the rates not to increase? So I'm just kind of curious if there's a position on a general rate case. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. That's a good question. In terms of the general rate case for test year 2024, so San Diego Community Power is definitely working behind the scenes in terms of analyzing the GRC, the testimonies and requirements that SDG&E has laid forth. We're still going through that process. Again, I think for us as an organization, part of our mission is to advocate for all ratepayers, whether it be as a function of the GRC, a function of the ERA filing / proceeding, etc. But again, I mean, we are working very closely. As a matter of fact, there were a few things, and again, I'm not at liberty to disclose them publicly. That we've essentially requested a few clarifying information on, and in terms of the workshops, I think those are part and parcel of the requirements of the GRC. We do know that there was one, I think, earlier on Monday, if I remember correctly, and there will be two more. Just know that we are keeping a very close eye on the GRC and the other proceedings affecting our ratepayers in our region. And just know that we are definitely advocating for all ratepayers.
So just for clarity, thank you, Mr. Seward. And just for a clarity point, my question is San Diego Community Power either going to enter or have entered into this proceeding? And if you have entered in the proceeding, are you advocating for the rates to be lowered, or is the current rate increase that is scheduled, you know, the status quo, something that San Diego Community Power is okay with? I'm not sure, right? So I'm just trying to find out, is San Diego Community Power actually entering into the proceeding on this GRC? That's my first question. And if so, what is the position if you are entering into the PRC? I mean, entering into this petition for this GRC?
That's a great question. And today our Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs, unfortunately, is not here with us. However, we'd be happy to check up on that for you, because I don't want to speak out of turn without her being here, since that is her area of expertise. So I would be more than happy to, if you would like to either send us your contact information, we can get back to you on that request.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Sonia, for the record, can you introduce yourself so that people get an idea of the validity of your questioning, please?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Chair Price. So I'm Sonia Robinson. I am a community advocate for climate equity with public policy. I work as a program manager at the Protect Our Communities Foundation. I'm also the chair of the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee with the NAACP, North San Diego County Branch. And I probably wear many other hats as well, but I'm definitely a very strong community engagement in our climate equity, specifically related to public policy throughout our county region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
Sure. Thanks, Tara. And Eddie, appreciate it. Excuse me, Chair Price.
Yeah, get that right next time, please. Thank you. We're on number 11 now.
Yeah, just, there's no other public comments.
No other questions?
No other hands. raised.
You can be excused now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Update on our work plan?
We are on item.
No.
This is the sponsorship.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. I should have brought my boxing gloves today, but go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Chair Price and committee members. My name is Lee Friedman, I'm the Senior Manager for Strategic Partnerships with San Diego Community Power. I'm joined here today with my colleague, Rachel Hummel, who is going to be presenting on our proposed policy for San Diego Community Power sponsorships. I'll let Rachel introduce herself and then we'll get going through the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just before we do a little bit of background, I was the former communications and marketing manager. So in my new role, I will be handling a lot of our sponsorship, partnerships, and memberships. So I just wanted to provide background on that. And then as we go into our sponsorship policy, this is going to be a way to standardize the process when organizations, businesses, or individuals are seeking sponsorship from San Diego Community Power. So it helps us provide a framework, and the biggest thing with developing and implementing this proposed policy is that it remains transparent, fiscally responsible, and centered on the customer, as always. Events that we're going to consider when we're thinking about sponsoring will be in support of the mission, vision, core values, and goals that were adopted last June by the board of directors. As a reminder, these goals include cleaner renewable power, investment into communities of concern, climate justice and equity, promoting electrification and decarbonization, energy education, and community outreach and workforce development. Next slide, please. Thank you. So when we're looking at the sponsorship criteria, we've developed a set to determine essentially appropriate sponsorship. So we have based on definitions, restrictions of what we would or would not sponsor, as well as certain event types. So when we look at the definition of a sponsorship, this is how we define it. So this is any kind of financial or in-kind support from San Diego Community Power to a business or individual that will help offset costs of the event that's hosted by that business or individual. That would be part of the sponsorship agreement that we will have, and I'll go into later, that will be hosted on our website. And then a sponsorship event, as before I mentioned, celebration, fundraiser, educational activity. So we do have a few restrictions in terms of what we would consider or not consider for sponsorship. So the first one, religious organizations or organizations whose purpose include support or opposition of candidates for political office, political parties, or ballot measures. Also, businesses, orgs, or individuals whose primary products are firearms, tobacco, fossil fuels, and any other subject that would not be deemed appropriate by our CEO or designee. We also have the right to reject any and all sponsors and sponsorship proposals that we receive. Currently, we're doing most word of mouth. So part of this policy is being able to actually set in place more of a procedure when we're doing these. Event types, to go back to the mission, vision, values, and goals, cleaner renewable power, investment to communities of concern, climate justice and equity, promoting electrification, decarbonization, energy education, and community outreach, and workforce development. The goal of a lot of this is also for something that would contribute positively to brand awareness and recognition of San Diego Community Power, as well as events that are not only open to the general public. So we would really, for the most part, like to sponsor an event that would be free to the public at no cost, or at least located within the San Diego region. We're not ideally going to be sponsoring anything out of our jurisdiction area. Next slide, please. Questions to consider. So these are just a few in mind that as we're starting to review the request, we will be looking into. And so again, we're always going back to that mission, core vision, values of San Diego Community Power. We're also looking at the cost, both from a financial perspective, but also administrative time of us being at the event. And then, have we sponsored this organization before? Will this lead to a long-term partnership? So that's a lot of what kind of our side of the house is thinking about. What kind of partners do we want to have? How do we build those strategic partnerships? And then the last one is really talking about distributing equal resources throughout the member agencies. So we're not just doing all events in Encinitas or only in National City or City of San Diego. We really need to be spreading the love to all areas. Next slide. So probably between Lee, myself, Victoria, you've seen most of us at these events. So just in this last fiscal year, we've sponsored about 19 unique events. So that's over 44,000 to reinvesting back into the communities we serve. Just to give you an example of kind of the breadth of what we've sponsored so far, anything from Bike the Bay, which we biked across the bay, 25 miles. I think Eric that's here was there as well, and Sandra. We've also done work with the American Lung Association, Chula Vista Starlight Nights, where we asked kids to fill out what they, how do they define energy and, clean energy in the community. And then a lot of the work that we do also is speaking engagement and thought leadership. So we've had Karen on several panels, kind of in that bottom section, anywhere from the Climate Summit to working with Climate Action Campaign Nexus. And then we have a lot coming up kind of in this next few months. Next slide. So the biggest thing also, just in terms of organization, I'm a pretty organized human. We want to be able to actually track annually how much money are we spending, in which areas are we spending them in, as well as having a digital sponsorship form will essentially allow us to be a bit more organized when we have someone emailing us to say, we want you to sponsor and give us our money. Well, we need to do consistent communication record keeping for that. So I've established a board on monday.com, which is the primary way that we sort of track a lot of our events, sponsorships, memberships. And this will just be annual. And so we'll do it based on the area, the organization, the org type. Primarily, we're looking at 501c3s or C6, and then location. And next slide. I think that's kind of wraps that up. Are there any questions? Yes.
Somewhere in there, it said something about the CEO.
Down, go back.
Yeah, that looked rather oppressive.
That's under, if you go back, 1, 2.
Like that didn't even really need
Sponsorship
to be in there.
criteria. One more.
Keep going.
Yep, that one. So I think that the restrictions.
Yeah, or matter not deemed appropriate by the CEO or designee. That just struck me
Okay.
some kind of way. Like it doesn't, in my humble opinion, it doesn't need to be in there based upon what comes before that and what comes after that. And so I don't know. I don't know. It just looks weird and strange. And
It's general best practice that other public entities have used.
yeah, that don't mean I like it though. You know what I mean? Because
It seems redundant.
yeah, it just feels, irregardless of all this, if we don't like the color of the flag, we ain't sponsoring it. Because she don't like it or he don't like it, right? And so I don't know, just from my experience, when people like me see language like that, I don't know, makes you feel some kind of way. Especially when it doesn't seem to be necessary, whether it's best practices or not, it doesn't seem to be necessary, right? Because what came before it, what comes after it, totally totally explains San Diego Community Power's position on sponsorship, right? But that leaves it up to one person within San Diego Community or that person's designee, whoever that might be, right? As opposed to an actual process and plan and what we're sticking to, it goes the way that they want it to go. So I don't know. That's just me. I know I'm not wrapped as tight as some other individuals, but I don't know. I don't like that. I like everything else except that deemed appropriate. Who's doing the deeming? What is that based upon? So you have all these other qualifications, but if this person deems something, irregardless of all those other qualifications, so I don't know. Part of my mission in life is to fight systematic oppression. That seems like a systematically oppressive statement.
Appreciate the comment.
Yes, sir, Mel.
I just had a
Can you
question.
soften that up for me a little bit?
No. But I do just have a clarifying question on, under the restrictions under the first bullet, I know it references or ballot measures. Is that just being clear, like, if there's an organization that's like exclusively focused on we're trying to kill it versus, because I just know a lot of nonprofits will step into like transit measures and like other things. So just being clear is that.
Yeah, I think that is the intention. You know, ultimately, we're looking also really just to sponsor again. Organizations that have 501c3 or 501c6 or other nonprofit status. Which generally speaking, I know what you're saying, like there are certain organizations where they do support ballot initiatives, but I think I'm thinking more here like a PAC or something like that. That's
Yes, yeah, that's what I thought it was too. I just know a lot of the 501c3s, they can engage on ballot measures, to just, you know, not their focus.
happy to bring that up with legal counsel to make sure that we're not being overtly exclusive with that language.
Thank you.
Well, just to continue that though, it's easy to imagine a case where there's, let's say, a referendum that is to abandon renewable energy or something like that. Obviously, we have a vested interest and there'd be organizations. So it would seem to me that's very political, but it seems like a case where it is so strongly in our interest to support a side in something like that. Are you saying you wouldn't do that?
I mean, I think a lot of what this is talking about is who we decide to sponsor primarily through, I mean, most of our sponsorships have included tabling, any kind of speaking engagements, or just financially, sponsoring at a certain level. Usually we'll get those kind of perks and benefits. So I think sort of what you're saying is maybe even more like us being in the room. Is that kind of the question?
It just seems like you're, I'm not sure.
I think
sometimes I find myself trying to say the same thing over again. But it just seems like there could be something political where in terms of organizations for or against something are strongly in the interest of furthering renewable energy.
Gary, I think I know what you're talking about. Like, essentially what you're saying is like, will SDCP be able to engage if there were ever like a ballot measure that could go against the organization's interest, correct? Which I would then say that that's probably like more of the regulatory and legislative affairs folks that would handle that part, and they probably do that on their own rather than sponsoring organizations to do it on their behalf. Like, the organization could step up itself rather than doing sponsorships. I would recommend that route. If it's something so existential as a threat.
I guess I'm asking though, there's typically some, say there's ballot measures, there's typically, the proponents of yes on prop whatever. And I guess I'm asking, are you restricting that you wouldn't weigh into a fight that was clearly in our best interest to take a side on?
I think that sort of falls out of the realm of sponsorships, the way that we're defining them.
Okay.
What you're talking about is more of a political action committee type work, which is not exactly aligned with what we're talking about here today.
Okay.
Good question though.
I do want to recognize that Tara has her hand raised.
Tara?
Hi, thank you. I was glad to see fossil fuels as part of the restrictions. I was wondering if we could add something about commingling with SDG&E or Sempra sponsorships. It would be great to see SDCP when we do a sponsorship, ask the organization to not include SDG&E, which often includes greenwashing, among other tactics and messaging that take away from SDCP and climate work that we are doing. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback there, Tara. As I'm sure you know, there will be far and few events that we'd be able to participate in probably throughout the city and the county if we restricted ourselves from sponsoring events that also were sponsored by SDG&E. I think though that as we grow as an organization, And especially as we're able to, replace specifically with certain events that are more climate focused, us becoming maybe title or prime sponsors or having more of the ability to be more supportive. I think that is where we'll be able to flex our muscle more in the future. But we purposely left the language as it is right now, because we don't want to limit ourselves to be able to be at events where we need to meet with the public, educate them on who we are and what we do. But I definitely see a pathway to hopefully being, the prime sponsor specifically for events that are aligned with our goals and want to limit, obviously, the amount of greenwashing that happens.
One example, we're gonna be the title sponsor for South Bay Earth Day. So that was one where you can't have two sponsors being titles. So that's kind of like what Lee was talking about. What we're trying to do is, when applicable and possible and financially sound, we are hoping to be title sponsors in areas that make a lot of sense for what we're doing.
Any more questions?
Sorry?
Larry?
So is the Padre alignment, is that part of this? That's a different thing.
That would be partnerships.
That's a partnership. Okay. So let me focus on the sponsorship. You said there were 19 sponsorships, events, and tomorrow I'm going to a National City breakfast, and Victoria was nice enough to give me some goodies to hand out. Have San Diego, SDCP pins and some booklets. But when you have these sponsorships, do you have like a big placard or a stand that you use so that people can, it draws you to them?
Yeah, if you go 2 slides to the right. So this was at the Climate Action Campaign Nexus conference. And so it usually looks kind of similar to that, Larry. So I think in this one, we were one of the title sponsors. It could be on a stand like that. It could be a banner. A lot of times they'll include part of sponsorship packets is they'll include like digital sponsorship. So you'll see our logo on the website. They'll do social media for us.
Okay, so then for my specific need, do you have one that just has San Diego Community Power and the benefits that I can bring to the event tomorrow? So I can have a table with these things on it, but I also have something that big and handouts that explains the benefits of the San Diego Community Power.
When it comes to either promotional materials like what you have right here,
Yeah.
or information that you need, we'd be happy to provide you with that. We don't right now have a current poster board that is like that, but we do have handouts and flyers. If you're going tomorrow, I might be a little too late to get you those unless you want to potentially print them out on your own. But we do have potentially some enrollment notices or other flyers that maybe we could scrounge up today while we're
I
here.
have that flyer that was sent to my neighbor, which talks about some of the benefits, so I can copy some of that, but if you have anything.
Some extras in my car if you want to stick around
The
out.
box that I gave you, there's a chunk of enrollment flyers.
Enrollment flyers.
Yeah, so when you go to nationals, those given to all the folks there.
You're gonna have to show me to that, because
They're
So I
okay.
the rectangle.
I have a question. Is there a process? Or can we create a process for community advisory committee members to get what this gentleman is requesting in a timely fashion, right? Like somewhere where we can check, is there a banner available or something available so that, from here on out, we'd have a process where we could get a little box like, she's giving him or whatever when we go out to these events, but it's a process so that we don't have to be, letting 24 hours ahead of time.
Yeah, I think we could probably brainstorm a process
Right.
offline and come up with something that works best for the organization to make sure that we're tracking inventory as it goes out, making sure it's with a responsible party, and then it
I
comes.
think that would be appreciated and conducive to the future of this organization.
Thank you. Thank you also, Larry, for being there tomorrow and supporting us. We really appreciate it.
No, I realized I had forgotten to say thank you and how much I appreciate the tracking system you're developing.
I'm excited about it. It's I love Monday.com, and Nelson has been phenomenal on our team to help us really get more organization of these boards. So yeah, it's gonna be a really nice way to also, you know, at the end of the year, understand, because it calculates the sum, how much have we done, what areas have we put the money towards. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really beneficial for us.
Thank you. Is that
I do want to recognize that Tara has her hand raised again.
Tara?
Sorry, that was from before taking it down.
And then there's one more person from the public.
Public, please. Are they ready to say something?
That might be from before.
Other than that, there are no written public comments. And that person just lowered their hand.
Thank you, person. So does that conclude your presentation? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chair Bryson.
Thank you.
Discussion, no update on our 22-23 work plan.
So we added this as a standing item because you all in the CAC worked really hard to make a work plan. And this way you all are able to put in the input that you made as a priority. And that way it holds us accountable and it holds you all accountable. So if we go to the next slide, these are all of the priorities that you put on your work plan. So just for an equity overview, on our website, we have our mission, vision, and values. And then in the binders I made you on the third tab, you can see our work plan. And then on the second tab, it has mission, vision, and values, and just a little bit more about who we are. And maybe at the next meeting you can give, or right now you can give more of like just feedback or comments on who we are, or just how we are equitable. And then the next bullet is just CAC educational presentations. So that's just reminding all of you that at the CAC meetings, you can either host an educational presentation or you can ask someone to host an educational presentation. And of course, just like with the sponsorships or partnerships, clean energy, equity for the community types of presentations. And then for an update on our legislative, public policy, and regulatory, they did have a lobby day this past week. And so they're in Sacramento just pushing more for clean energy. And then last month, Laura, the director for the legislative and regulatory affairs, got feedback from all of you on the regulatory and legislative platform. And then that was approved at the board of directors meeting in February. And then our equitable, inclusive, and sustainable workforce policy, the last time that was updated was in 2021. I did include it in the binder just so you guys can all see it. And then if there's any comments or anything that you'd like to just mention on that policy, and then we do plan to bring that policy to you in the next coming months. And then for our energy bid evaluation criteria and our power procurement efforts, I cannot give you a thorough update, but I can tell you that our power services team will be coming next month, and they'll be able to answer all of your energy power questions. And then marketing and comms and community power plan, they did give presentations earlier, but if you do have more questions, you can ask those. And then for staff and board initiated items, this is something that I'm like super excited about and just grateful for, but all of you are gonna start getting stipends now. So for this meeting, you will get a $100 compensation stipend.
Today? And this one?
Not today, not like a.
And this thing?
No, but
I'm greedy. I mean, I
so
want
if you, I did send each of you a link to the agenda packet from the February meeting. We don't have the document already on our website edited, but I just put the link to the agenda packet, and then I put the pages showing that this is what the board voted on. I'm not sure when it'll be available, fully document on the website, but that way you know, like, all of the compensation rules have been voted on, so you all will get compensated for this meeting and meetings public meetings going forward. And then for our community solar program, which is like our disadvantaged community green solar, community solar green tariff programs. So later this month, SDCP will just become a program administrator, and we'll be standing up this program over the next few months, and we'll be developing a website used as a hub to connect like CBOs or community-based orgs with developers. And then the person that's actually leading that program is on the call. So if you had any questions, you could ask them.
And who's the person actually leading that?
Tessa, she's a program associate.
Where, I have a question about Hakumba. Does that fall anywhere in here?
That is a question that you could probably ask next month, because our power services team will be here to just give a thorough update on those two updates. So that might be a good time to ask, but if you had a comment that you wanted to say now, you can.
Yeah, well, you know, the reason I'd like to be updated on that is because in that bid for the project out in Hakumba, the community now has allegedly some problems or some issues going on with that project out there. And we, as the Community Advisory Committee, it would behoove us to be aware of those situations, that we may be able to help facilitate a successful resolution to them, right? As opposed to just buying energy. And I think I mentioned this before, you know, if we buy energy from somebody in Arizona, I'd like to know what they're doing in the community, right? Because we're the Community Advisory Committee. You know, what is their workforce policy? What is their equity policy? How is the community being treated? And apparently in Hakumba, allegedly, I don't know, there's some misgivings about this project out there, and that is detrimental to our procurement process for energy. Right? If that doesn't happen, or if they shrink the size of the development based upon whatever community issues they have out there. So I'd really like to, you know, get an update on what that is. Can or should the Community Advisory Committee be involved in any way, shape, or form to find some solution to whatever's going on out there? So number one, we get all the energy that we wanted to get, right? But number two, the community is taken care of in whatever way they think they're not being taken care of. It sounds like Matt has something to say.
Oh, no, I have ideas in terms of where we get information, but yeah.
I'd like to, Eddie, I'd like to, or Chair Price, I would like to just say, and it's my impression that because of the problem with Hakumba has come up, you know, some time back, and it's definitely ongoing. But one of the results of that, I think, was the fact that we put in the request that we be briefed on power procurement efforts, so that we could possibly see a problem coming up in the future of you know, a community being opposed to the power that we were going to be purchasing. So I would say from that standpoint, at least, you know, we made them put the ball back in our court. Now the question is what we're going to do if we start getting that ball.
Dribble and shoot.
Dribble and shoot. Okay.
Shoot the ball.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you. I just think we you know, and again, as I mentioned before, I'm not looking at this current iteration of the Community Advisory Committee, but maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, when the Community Advisory Committee may actually be involved in other communities where we're getting procurement at, right? And having meetings with the community, because the community has an issue out there. And it may have been waylaid if the Community Advisory Committee was empowered to go out there and have a conversation with that community out there. So I'm looking more from a futuristic standpoint than us being able to solve something right now, but we do need to identify the problem so that we can increase our stature in this organization, in my humble opinion. So, thank you. I said all that without cussing. I deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much. Yes.
So my comment is that there was a rubric that was created to evaluate
Rubric.
projects.
You know, I'm just a knucklehead from East Oakland. I don't know what a rubric is.
Just the factors to choose a project.
Okay.
What projects are appropriate, and we talked about it and saw it. And it might be interesting to find out what's happening with that rubric,
Right.
because
Who committed to that rubric?
that-
Was it the developer in the community?
No, this is the
Us.
us.
To us. We committed us to us.
Yes, to choose how to,
Oh.
choosing projects.
Okay.
Things to consider.
Right.
And I think it was a part of that issue.
Okay.
Or response to it.
Right.
And so it might be interesting to find out, is that rubric working? And how is it being used?
Right.
And, you know, what's happening?
Right. Okay. So maybe this could be put on next month's agenda. Including her rubric.
Yeah, and especially because it's a standing item now, these are things that we can discuss every month.
Okay, thank you. Are we done with that now? Any questions from anybody?
There's a hand raised, so I'm gonna allow them to speak right now.
Is there
Hi.
another-
Yes, hi, this is Sonia Robinson again. And I just wanted to share that to, Chair Price and to all our community members, I did actively engage and shared some information with you all. I believe it was 2021, might have included Matt, Tara, you, Eddie, and some others on some of the issues that the community members in Hakumba had. And one of those issues, and at that time, I was the chair of the San Diego branch of the NAACP Environmental Climate Justice Committee. And one of those issues was that even the energy that was being sourced, which I think, I don't have none of my notes in front of me, but I want to say it was like 95 megawatts of power, was not even being, none of the community members in Hakumba was receiving any of that power, nor it seemed like many of, to the points that you brought up, Chair Price, none of the community benefits really was provided or highlighted. My understanding is that I know that there is a lawsuit in relationships to that. I'm not necessarily sure of the status of that lawsuit, but the legislator employee there at San Diego Community Power may have an update, but I do want to share that that was one of the main issues that I remember, the size of it, how close that the project was bumping up to the community that lived out there in that area. And there was other economic impacts to their economy as far as being a resort area in the desert. So I just wanted to share our CAC, some of those issues that was raised in the beginning of that project. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may briefly comment, I believe that the fact that the county is now served by SDP means that Hakumba will be getting, power through.
Yeah, but there is
The power
95
going into the
megawatts right
grid
next
is the
door. They
power,
need to get
is
free
power
power.
that they're going to get.
Right. There's only like 250 people that live out there. I'm quite sure we
Well-
could do something for them.
Yeah.
But that's my humble opinion. Are we ready to move? Are we done with the work plan, ma'am?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, ma'am.
There are no pre-written comments, no other hands raised.
All righty then. Do we have any potential agenda items for the board of directors in their meeting? From the committee? Apparently not. Are there any committee member announcements? Larry, I know you got one, dude. I know you got one.
I'm going back to the first question, to the board. I'm wondering what San Diego Community Power can do to help accelerate local distributed energy, such as more solar with battery storage. So is that something that can be discussed at the board and shared back to us later, or some future presentation by the staff members? What's the plan to support those local distributed energy, solar with battery storage? So is that, who decides if that goes to the board? Or if it's, the staff comes back later and just shares what they're gonna do?
Yeah, I think that's part of the community power plan, and I think that's Colin that would perhaps give a presentation on where that stands right now, or maybe this young lady right here.
No, committee member, I just wanted to let you know that that's something that we can certainly take into account for future agendas as we discuss them as a staff. So we'll take that as notes in the minute to come back at a later date for that update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have another question, don't you, Larry?
Well, just, I'm gonna be at this breakfast tomorrow, so if I have any other material to share that talks about the benefits, then I'll take it with me.
And thank you. And I believe with that, if there are no other comments, we can adjourn this meeting.
We can.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And for the record, I can't take this on.
No.
Well, it's so shiny. You know,
Setup.
I don't like Apple, but it
Used to.
looks good.
Name on it, but
Great.
it isn't, okay, just the binder. Not the name.
We can take this home or we can leave that. That's the